Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for accommodating us. We're just waiting to get our technology up and functional for the formal meeting. Thank you. Good evening. The formal meeting of the Richmond City Council will now come to order. And if we could, Madam Clerk, please read the necessary announcement regarding Spanish interpretation services at this meeting.
Spanish interpretation is available in the council chamber. Please see a representative at the rear of the room to receive the appropriate equipment. Spanish interpretation is also available through Microsoft Teams for virtual attendees in need of this service.
Disponemos de servicios de interpretación al español en la sala del consejo. Por favor, diríjase a la parte de trasera para recibir el equipo adecuado. La interpretación en español también está poniendo en disposición a través de Microsoft Teams para los participantes virtuales que necesiten dichos servicios.
Thank you. At this time, the invocation will be offered by Reverend Joshua D. Holmes of Hood Temple AME Zion Church, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear God, we come to you as humbly as we know how, first to tell you thank you for allowing us to gather here today. Now, God, we ask that as the business transpires, God, we ask that we look to you first. And God, that after all is said and done, you get glory and honor at all that we do. And God will glorify and honor your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Holmes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you would please provide the chamber emergency evacuation announcement, followed by the speaker guidelines.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairwell outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, proceed down 9th Street and into the assembly area located in the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors when exiting the building. Public speaker guidelines. Individuals wishing to speak during public hearings and the public comment period are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before council are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or address the question staff members directly. All questions are to be directed to the president of council. Failure to adhere to these guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any remaining time, and further disciplinary action is necessary, which can include barring from attendance at future meetings of the City Council for a period of 6 months. Members of the public who registered in advance to speak virtually will be called at the appropriate time, either during the public comment period or during the public hearing for the legislation in which they sign up to address. Madam President, that concludes the announcements.
And Madam President, for the record, all members of council are in attendance this evening. And if there are individuals standing in the rear of the chamber, they are asked to be seated where seats are available. Also, applause is not permitted during tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there appointments or reappointments for consideration this evening?
Yes, members, for consideration this evening, you were provided a board appointment recommendation packet from your EHS Standing Committee. Is there a motion to approve the appointment recommendations?
So moved.
Thank you. Council is voting on the motion to approve the appointment recommendations as presented. Mr. Breton.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson.
Aye.
Ms. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Trammell.
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar. Vice President Jordan. And President Newbill.
Aye.
Those appointments have been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed with the public comment speakers.
The first speaker is Melvin Jones.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melvin Jones. I reside in the 3rd District. And I've come to you tonight because I would like for you to sign this birthday card of Maggie Walker. Maggie Walker is a legend. I mean, she's well known all over the country now. I mean, I'm getting calls from Atlanta. We're going to have some smooth things going on. People think the economy is down. Watch and see. Richmond's going to pick up big. So I would like for y'all to, if you can, just sign this tonight. Her birthday is July the 15th, and other celebrations are going on. And City Council did do a proclamation of Maggie Walker's birthday. And some of you city council members remember this. But I want some of the new council members to come up with something new, because to me, this is old. I want something new. So I would like for you, I've got a marker, and I'll wait in the back of the chamber for everybody to sign this, because I want the city council to be the first to sign Maggie Walker's birthday. It's going to be July the 15th. And I would like to ask city council also if we could get the plaza clean, and if we could get between Second and Jackson blocked off, because I think this is going to be a big thing this year. 161 years. And this lady lent City of Richmond $110,000 back in the day. A lot of money. A lot of money. So please, please, please sign this. I've got a marker here. A brand new one. Trust me. Still in the package. Please sign it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I suspect you'll have full participation. If you will give that to a staffer, we'll endeavor to
And
get the
thank you, City
signature.
Council. Thank you for all your support and helping Maggie Walker be a trailblazer for the city of Richmond. Thank you a lot.
And thank you for your advocacy
Yes,
in
ma'am. Thank you,
terms of
Ms.
the
Newfield.
celebration and the recognition that continues in our city.
Okay,
on
thank
our
you very
behalf.
much.
The next speaker is Carol Adams.
Welcome, Ms. Adams.
Esteemed council members, city personnel, and City of Richmond residents, I'm Carol Adams, the president of Engine Company Number 9 and Associates, and standing here with me are the members and board of Engine Company Number 9 and Associates. We are here today to share the upcoming 75th anniversary celebration, whereas the City of Richmond hired the first Black firefighters in the City of Richmond on July the 1st, 1950. These men were also the first African-American hirees within the Commonwealth of Virginia. We will honor and celebrate these trailblazers in partnership with the City of Richmond Fire Department and Brothers and Sisters Combined Professional Firefighters. We invite you to join us for a celebratory evening that will include a message from Richmond Fire Interim Chief Jeffrey Siegel, dinner, a documentary preview that has been worked on to document this living history that we have never documented before. So it's a significant event and significant accomplishments. We are going to family recognitions and several awards for exceptional service on July the 1st, 2025, as we commemorate and honor our trailblazers. Our event will be held at the Main Street Station, located at 1500 East Main Street, from 4:00 p.m. until 7 p.m. It is our hope that each of you have received a written invitation to join us. All citizens who wish to join us, the celebration, we have placed flyers in the rear of the room, and we would like to thank you all for allowing us this time to share this significant event.
Thank you, Ms. Adams, and we would be remiss if we did not ask you to introduce the history makers and trailblazers who are standing with you.
Well, I will afford them the opportunity to stand here, to step to the mic and to introduce themselves.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Williams. I'm a retired firefighter for City of Richmond for 35 years. And I'm serving as the Special Project Manager for Engine Company 9 and also the Treasurer.
My name is Charles Ellis. I'm a retired firefighter, 25 years and 3 months. And We are not the originals. Okay. All the originals are deceased.
But you are history makers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
My name is William Bullock. I'm a retired City of Richmond firefighter. They gave me an award last year for saving 22 people's lives in the center of Richmond at Bellevue Plaza. I'd just like to say thank you for an opportunity to be here. Thank you.
My name is James Chambers. I served 30 years in the Richmond Fire Department, which was a bureau when I came in. And I'd like to thank council for all the support that it has given the Richmond Fire Department. And I hope that you will continue to support the department. Thank you.
My name is Cecil Dumas, Master Firefighter, 30 years service. And I have enjoyed the time I've been with the fire department. Looking forward to more and more retirement.
My name is Willie Harper. I'm retired from the Sheriff Department for 20 years.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Don Houston. I served 30 years in the Richmond Fire Department, and I am enjoying my retirement.
And I serve as president of the organization because Engine Company Number 9 was created to make sure that we document the history and that we honor and support all of those trailblazers that came before us because we stand on their shoulders. And I'm Carol Adams, and I served 32 years here in the city of Richmond, 7 with the Richmond Sheriff's Department and 26 with the Richmond Police Department. And because of those trailblazers, we get to live and walk in times that are so much different than where they had to, the things that they had to endure. And that's why we have to continue to tell this story and to document this history so that their legacy and their journey will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams, for bringing this event to our attention. Thank all of you for your service to our city and our citizens.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Andre Toleris.
Council members, my name is Andre and I'm a resident of Richmond. I'm here because I, like many others in the city, am tired. Tired of having to boil water twice in 5 months. Tired of living in a city where the most basic public health standard, clean, safe drinking water, is not a guarantee. This is not just an inconvenience. This is a failure of leadership. This isn't about bad luck. It's not about weather events. It's about decades of neglect. And for those of you who've been on this council for years, that neglect happened on your watch. That's not a political attack. That's just a plain statement of accountability. Infrastructure doesn't fail overnight. Water plants don't collapse because of a little rain. They collapse because warning signs were ignored, because investments were postponed, because nobody was willing to do the hard, often thankless work of long-term planning. And now all of us, families, businesses, schools, hospitals, we're paying the price for that avoidance. The Department of Public Utilities, which should be protecting us, has become synonymous with dysfunction. Hundreds of public complaints go unanswered, calls go unreturned. Even the most basic tasks seem to fall through the cracks, and yet there's no transparency. There's no urgency, and certainly there's no apology. We keep hearing promises of new funding for water infrastructure, but let's not kid ourselves. Money alone won't fix this. If the Department of Public Utilities doesn't have the talent, the manpower, or the operational discipline to execute, then you can throw as much money at this crisis as you want. It won't matter. It's like pouring water into a leaking pipe. Clean drinking water is not a luxury. It's a fundamental expectation of a functioning city. And if you can't guarantee that, then we have a much deeper problem than sediment at a water plant. Build competence, build accountability, build a city government that doesn't just exist, but actually works for its people. And before anyone here starts asking what solutions I'm bringing to the table, let me stop you. That's not my job. That's your job. You ran for office. You asked for this responsibility. So now, please do your job and fix this now.
Thank you, Mr. Tolerous.
The next speaker is Danielle Smith.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Danny Smith, and I am a renter living in Councilmember Gibson's district in Northside. I'm here today to express my support for implementing a proactive rental inspection program in the city of Richmond. I think we can all agree that our homes are one of the most important parts of our lives because home is more than where we sleep at night. It's also where we create memories and have important conversations and share meals with loved ones. Ideally, it's where we feel the most safe. When I was a third grader, my family was living in rental housing on a military base. One day, I was playing in my room after school, and I discovered a strange, fuzzy-looking substance on the wall behind my stuffed animals. It turned out to be an incredibly toxic variety of black mold that affected most of the units in our complex. This explained the mysterious symptoms, bloody noses, and violent coughing fits that had plagued many of the children on our block for months. The neighborhood was condemned almost overnight. We lost any belongings that couldn't be sanitized, so I said goodbye to those stuffed animals. But more critically, my family also lost the place that we called home. I'm telling you this story because I believe that this is just one example of how a proactive rental inspection ordinance can be a key part of a municipality's toolbox. What if the private company that managed our base housing had been required to apply for a permit before renting to us? Perhaps a code inspector would have seen some of the warning signs that moisture and toxins were accumulating in the walls. Maybe the landlord would have fixed these issues before they got past the point of being fixable. What if we could actually save time and money and city resources? And far more importantly, what if we could prevent families from having a dangerous experience like that in the first place? I haven't yet mentioned that this is also my day job. I've been working in housing for the last 7 years. I have professional experience in policy research, community outreach, and formerly as the housing services advocate for the city of Albany and upstate New York. I've seen firsthand the impacts that a proactive rental inspection ordinance can have on a city's most vulnerable tenants. And to that end, I emailed a copy of my public comment and my contact information to the council prior to this meeting. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions or provide information to the best of my ability in my professional capacity as this proposal moves through the legislative process. In conclusion, I would ask you to keep the proposed rental inspection ordinance in mind, as it has the potential to make our housing stock so much safer for the tenant families and renters like me who call these units home. Thank you for your time and your service to the citizens of Richmond.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
The last speaker is William Ryan.
Hi, my name is Will Ryan. I am a renter in the 2nd District, and as I'm also here representing our speaking. I'm a member of DSA. Let me just pull out my notes and ignore everything else I was trying to do. Okay. Anyways, I'm here to add my voice to all the people who have spoken before me to speak on behalf of the prospective ordinance on implementing rental inspection districts. Anyways. Apologies, it's my first time doing public comments. I'm here to advocate also on the grounds that it's going to it'll enable tenants to assert their rights to safe, healthy, and dignified housing and living conditions, and it'll help them do so without fear of reprisal from their landlords, which the current enforcement program potentially enables. Though if the arguments that made much more, made much better by Danny before me, are not enough to move the holdouts. If you're not moved by, the public welfare and the good of people and an argument towards dignity. Allow me to make a crude financial argument, which is that Richmond has a lot of debt to service. All the federal funding has evaporated, and a proactive enforcement regime is one of the best things you can do to siphon money away from landlords and people who benefit the most from the gentrification of the city and put it back into the pocket or into housing and back into the communities of the people who pay for all these properties. So yeah, you should do that. That's what I got.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
And Madam President, that concludes the list of public comment period speakers for this evening.
Thank you. Let's move on to reviewing amendments to tonight's agenda.
Madam President, the amendments to tonight's agenda are as follows. Item 1, ordinance 2025-014 will be continued to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting. Item 2, ordinance 2025-032 will also be continued to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting. Item 3, ordinance 2025-046 will be continued to the Monday, June 9th council meeting. Items 4 and 5, ordinance 2025-078 and ordinance 2025-084 are both to be amended later this evening and then continue to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting. Item 26, resolution 2024-R041 will be stricken. Item 30, ordinance 2025-100 will be continued, and lastly, will be continued to the Monday, July 28th council meeting. Madam President, those are all the amendments to tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any members who have additional amendments to tonight's meeting?
Madam President,
Councilmember Lynch.
I would like to move Resolution 2024-R041 to the regular agenda so that we have an opportunity to discuss as a body, and I believe there are members present who would wish to provide public comment in support of this measure.
Second.
Council is now voting on the motion to consider Resolution 2024-R041 and on the regular agenda this evening. Mr. Bratton.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
No.
Ms. Robertson.
Aye.
Ms. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Trammell. Ms. Aberbacher. Vice President Jordan.
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
And can I get a motion? That motion has passed, and that item will be considered tonight on the regular agenda. And that's item 26, resolution 2024-R041. And is there a motion to consider all the other remaining items as presented? Mr. Bratton, will you make that motion?
So moved.
Ms. Gibson, will you second that motion?
Second.
Council is now voting on the agenda amendments with the exception of item number 26, resolution 2024-R041, which will be considered later this evening. Mr. Bratton.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Trammell. Ms. Aberbacher.
Aye.
Vice President Jordan.
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
Madam President, the consent agenda consists of the following items. Item 6, ordinance 2025-086. Item 7, ordinance 2025-087. Item 8, ordinance 2025-090. Item 9, ordinance 2025-091. Item 10, ordinance 2025-093. Item 11, ordinance 2025-095. Item 12, ordinance 2025-096. Item 13, ordinance 2025-097. Item 14, ordinance 2025-098. Item 15, ordinance 2025-101. Item 16, ordinance 2025-102. Item 17, ordinance 2025-103. Item 18, ordinance 2025-104. Item 19, ordinance 2025-105. Item 20, ordinance 2025-106. Item 21, ordinance 2025-107. Item 22, ordinance 2025-108. Item 23, ordinance 2025-109. Item 24, ordinance 2025-110. Item 25, ordinance 2025-111. Item 27, resolution 2025-R018. And item 28, resolution 2025-R019. Those are all of the items on tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now hold a public hearing on the consent agenda items. Are there persons present in the audience at this time desirous of speaking in opposition to any of the items on the consent agenda? If you would approach the podium and line up in the aisle.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
My name is Latrice Gregory, and I am 51 years old. I work as a city contractor cleaner at the Southside Social Service Building. First, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Council for recognizing just how important it is to raise wages for people like me, workers who keep Richmond running every single day. I truly appreciate your effort to raise standards and fight for fairness and dignity for all workers providing essential services for the city. I'm here today not just as a worker, but as someone who takes great pride in helping keep our shared spaces clean and welcoming. I know how important it is for all of us to have a sanitized and healthy environment. But no matter how hard I work or how many hours I put in, the reality is that my paycheck still doesn't stretch far enough to cover the basics. Over a year ago, I was in an accident and I had to undergo several surgeries. And during that time, I couldn't work, and without an income, I lost my apartment. And since then, I've been living with my daughter and her 4 children. When I heard that the council was considering a proposal to raise wages for workers like me, contracted janitors and security guards who keep Richmond running, I felt the real sense of hope. Hope that maybe I could finally save for an emergency instead of crossing my fingers every month that nothing goes wrong. But that hope turned into deep disappointment when I learned that instead of moving forward with the wage increase, the council decided to turn it into a study. Raising the minimum wage is a tiny fraction of the city's budget, but for me and so many others, it could mean the difference between stability and falling deeper into poverty. It could mean my ability to get my own place to live in and my own dental insurance. Let me be clear, a study won't put food on my table. We don't need more data, we need action, and we need it now. We are fighting for better work standards and a voice on the job through a union. But we also need the council's support in implementing minimum standards that ensure workers like us are treated fairly and with dignity. So today I'm asking you, please don't make us wait any longer. Pass the living wage order.
30 seconds.
Okay, pass away living wage orders for city contractor workers this summer. Put it in the FY 2027 budget. Show us that our work is valued and that the city of Richmond stands behind the people who serve it every day. We don't need another study. We need change, real concrete and immediate change. Thank you for listening and for standing up for workers like me.
Thank you. Seeing no others who have come forward to speak in opposition to any item on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone who's joined us virtually to speak in opposition?
No, we do not, Madam President.
Okay. Are there persons then present desirous of speaking in favor of any item on the consent agenda? If you would come to the podium and certainly stand in the aisle. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have any persons who've joined us virtually desirous of speaking in favor of any items on the consent agenda?
We do not, Madam President.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to council for discussion. Seeing none, discussion, comment, or inquiry, I will ask Madam Clerk if you will call the question.
Council is voting on tonight's consent agenda as presented. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
President Newman?
Aye.
Those papers have been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the regular agenda.
The first regular agenda item for this evening is as follows. Item number 26, resolution number 2024-R041, to express support for the study and installation of photo speed monitoring devices in high-risk intersection segments, including the 600 and 700 blocks of South Belvedere Street and certain other locations, and to request that the CAO consider identifying additional locations for the installation of photo speed monitoring devices and increasing the number of photo speed monitoring devices deployed by the city. That paper is before council.
Thank you. Would either of the patrons like to make comment prior to going to public hearing?
When you say either of the patrons, are you talking about Councilmember Roberts and myself, or Councilmember
Yes,
Jordan?
yes, council member.
Yeah, so thank you all for letting this have some airspace and giving this a second consideration. I believe that the arguments that were crafted by the administration in the land use committee were that the study had already been done, and so therefore, why would we move forward with the resolution? The justification for that, and why I'm bringing that back before you today for consideration, is because your support of this resolution is a signal and an endorsement of a policy that will likely require our political will and motivation to keep it on the priority list, will likely require our political will and motivation to keep it in the forefront of investment, because these programs do not fund themselves at this moment, and require resources. And, I believe that our citizens and our community members, and I'm carrying with me today, this is not my idea, these are our community members and citizens who have asked for this, are begging us to do more in traffic safety and infrastructure. And we appreciate our RPD and what they're doing to try to answer just one piece of the solution in a multi-pronged approach that we have to take to curtail speeding behavior and reduce fatalities in the city. But this is one of the best ways that we know how to do that. And so there is legislation that passed in the 2024 General Assembly that allows us to place these photo speed cameras within 1,000 feet of a school zone where a traffic fatality has occurred. And so when the first piece of legislation passed regarding photo speed ticketing, we put in a resolution, and council's resolution is what signaled the support and the endorsement of that policy, and how we were able to move forward as a city and seeing those speed cameras now at 13 different locations, benefiting our school children ultimately. When this legislation passed last year, I felt similarly that it is important for us as a council to say, we endorse this. We want to see the administration move forward in a thoughtful and planful way by studying which areas they recommend based on data, coming back to us, and then us saying, yes, now let's actually move to step 2, which is installation. So yes, they did complete the study, but we haven't gotten to the more important part, which is the implementation and installation of these devices, so that we can really do something and make an impact for safer streets in our city. So again, I thank you for giving this a second consideration and hope to have your support.
Thank you, Councilmember Lynch. With that, we will now proceed to a public hearing. Are there persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to this item? If you would come to the podium.
Hello, I am Momin Khan, resident of the 5th District. Yeah, I just wanted to give support for this resolution.
1 second.
I'll go.
Yeah, we're doing those in opposition at the moment. Could you
okay.
hold?
Oh, no. It's
Okay.
Of course. Okay.
Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper? Madam Clerk, do we have anyone present virtually?
No, we do not, Madam President.
Thank you. then please come forward. Thank you.
All right, starting again, I am Momin Khan, resident of the 5th District. Speaking in support of this resolution, I sent an email comment with a bit more detail, which I'm sure you've read. So I'll say something different here, which is as a resident, without seeing a resolution like this passed, it's very unclear what the city's intention is. If they're taking this seriously, like we had an actual fatality in this intersection, and if you strike something like this without even passing a resolution, it just loses confidence in the council's vision for Vision Zero. Even though you've done amazing work in that area, we live in Oregon Hill, so the new traffic lights and the crossing walk in front of the memorial and the new bike lanes that just came in, we just biked, the whole family, we biked over here on those bike lanes. It's all amazing, and it's really helping. And we would like to see that momentum kept up with commitment to install these speed cameras with this resolution. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone who's joined us virtually to speak in favor of this paper?
No, we do not, Madam President.
Thank you. Public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to council for discussion, comment, and query. Councilmember Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to speak to the paper as it came through land use several times. And I want to thank my colleagues for putting it forward because we are not in denial that we have a traffic pedestrian safety issue in this city. However, the issue was we were asked to introduce this paper as a resolution, and our response from RPD and from DPW, before we go outside, we already have the data. So being that we had the data, that is why they brought back the study to say, we've looked at all these spaces, all these places, the high injury network, all of these, areas. And here is where this study that you're asking for out, even inclusive of the addresses that were put into the paper. So is the reason why we feel like the paper has done what its due diligence. I want to add to that to say that I agree with my colleague that yes, we need to do more. We are all aware of that, but I also want us to read the room. And I also want us to address the elephant, which is we want more speed cameras, but with those speed cameras, we need equity, and we need to ensure that as a part of this process, we are doing an equity analysis instead of just putting up a bunch of speed cameras because we feel like this is what we feel we want to happen. So I'm not against the paper. I'm not against the work that my colleagues have done before I got here. I'm not against the work that they are doing now. We all have had fatalities. I've had them on German School Road. They've had them on Sims. We all have experienced it. So I am not in opposition of this paper. What I am in opposition of is the fact that I want to ensure that neighborhoods and districts like District Number 9 and others are inclusive of an equity study so that we don't just have a bunch of cameras in this city because we already know what that requires. And so that is my concern. And however we move forward, I'm in full support with my colleagues. Again, I want to be clear. I am not against this, but I want to say the request was to do a study, and that study was done. Now we can speak to the administration, we can speak to RPD, we can let them share, but I'm not erring on the side of what was told to us. I'm erring on what was asked of us, and what was asked of us was to do this study, and it was done. So whatever part 2 of this is, I'm okay with that, and my colleagues know I'm okay with that. But I'm also, like I said, I want us to be transparent. I want to make sure that folks are educated. I don't want folks coming out of their house and a camera is somewhere and we didn't let them know it, because I am getting calls about cameras that have been put up that people don't even know that they're there yet. And so I'm going to say that I want us to make sure that as we are doing this, yes, we want folks to be safe, but we know that some of these Vision Zero and safety and bike-in issues that we have are not reflective across the city. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As my colleague, Ms. Jones said, Councilwoman Jones has stated, this paper has been back and forth before the committee for quite some time. One of the first concerns that we had with this paper was that it identified one specific location. And we wanted to make sure that when we looked at this need, that it was addressed and that the study was inclusive and it gave us factual information as to high priority areas that should be considered and order in which they should be considered. And that we didn't feel that it would be just to identify one location as the legislation that came to us identified. So that was the first challenge that we tried to overcome. Secondly, the administration was asked to come back because we were informed at the time that the data that we are looking for in the study was preliminarily done, and they could bring us back critical information of where the high-risk areas were, what would be involved in installing cameras, what would be the cost for doing such, what legislation provided us an opportunity to do that, under what conditions, the revenue that is being generated from any tickets that were issued, how that is administered, and what value that would be coming back to the city. All of those questions have been answered in the study. And I do think that we may not have done the job that we need to do to make that available to the public, the outcome of that report, and also the council members as a whole. So I do think that's very important that everyone gets that. I also think that it's very important that we understand that the committee truly respects the fact of the high-risk areas as have been identified by the administration as a result of their collection of the information to put this study together, and that we do not think that any one section as the legislation is before us should be considered, which it doesn't say that it'll be a priority, but simply because it's the only address, it automatically creates that priority. And so we really don't want to do that. But Madam Chair, in the absence of the full council having an opportunity to review that report, and I don't know whether or not we would want the administration to at least come forward and give us the highlights of their finding and what is involved in the execution and the administration of this and how much it's going to cost and when it's likely that we can put funding in the budget to make that happen and what that actually is being asked for. I think that's the presentation that the community needs to hear. Everybody needs to know that, the full council, not just the committee, and that we should have a copy of that report as well. And so I respect the lead patron on this paper. Certainly, we've been asking for years now, can we do anything about speed control in the city of Richmond? And as long as I almost was going to tell a great story that my brother shared with me last night about my mother and what she said about speeding. But she probably wouldn't appreciate me sharing that publicly, so I'm gonna hold on that one. But the idea is, as long as people can put their feet, their foot, whatever, on the gas pedal and drive at the speed that they want to, unless we have a means by which we can stop that, and it seems like cameras may be the best way, one of the best ways to do that. We certainly can't, haven't done well. We've done a lot of investment in infrastructure and all kinds of things to control speeding, and we still have people speeding, and I think we'll still continue to have. But this is a process that somebody pays for it, and I think the speeder is the one that should pay. But Madam Chair, I will be amiss if we did not get a full presentation from the administration to understand what is required as it relates to the implementation of the recommendations that the administration have made to us, and the reality of the making this happen at what cost. Because one thing I regret most is for us to make promises or perceive promises and it not happen anytime within a reasonable expectation of that timing. And based on what we have been told and what it's going to cost and what's going to be involved with administration, the reality of implementation is something that should be attached to the outcome of this. So if now is not the appropriate time and the patrons of the paper is willing to continue it and us look at a better way to amend the paper to not prioritize any one location. Secondly, have the full report sent to council members for our complete review and questions answered that we may need secondary to that. I would offer a motion to continue with those terms and conditions if the patrons would consider. Thank you.
So just, I want to be clear because it would be helpful for me, given that based on what you've said, the study has been completed, that now what we're talking about is an implementation plan based on delineating the priority areas based on what the data showed, what the costs would be, any staff, am I hearing that correctly? Okay. Councilmember Breton, you're queued up next. And then back to you, Councilmember Lynn.
Sure. Well, I imagine we have, two routes that are being proposed. I imagine one is to, vote on the resolution with the content that it has, or possibly an amended version. And the other was the idea of promoting a next round of studies, implementation planning, et cetera, is maybe what I heard you say, and I just heard everyone else just say yes to, I thought. So they're saying no, so it's not that. And in that case,
No.
back to the resolution at hand.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, and let me be clear, I'm pleased that we have the study. Now that we have it, what does the data say in terms of priority areas? Where should we start the focus? What's the cost, the budget, all those kinds of things? And for me, it is not another study in this moment as much as looking at what we have and then what's that plan of implementation. And so that does not look like another study to me, possible amendment continuation. So I'm sorry I wasn't clear.
Oh. All right, well, I guess in that case, if the question is about the paper at hand, I mean, the fact that we did receive the information was a victory for safety, right? And so that was an important step. But, something that I didn't even appreciate at the time during land use with this resolution does not only ask for the study, it also speaks to the support of the installation, but does not speak to any specific installation plan, right? And so that's the other, and what that allows us to do, aside from the one specific intersection that's mentioned, but beyond that, the rest of it is speaking in support of installation of cameras across the city without specifying the plan. So what that allows us to do is to signal our support, to say that this is something we believe in and this is a council priority, and the implementation details, making sure that equity is involved, that data is involved, that costs are considered, that's all an implied necessary next step, clearly, because there's no specific implementation in this resolution. This is a resolution of support. So, notwithstanding the discussion around the specific intersection, being able to say that as a council, this is a priority of ours is going to be a helpful way to press the administration to do all the necessary work of checking on the equity, checking on the data, checking on the procurement practices, checking on all the implementation details that it's going to take. So I think that passing this resolution in support of installing speed cameras is a necessary part to keep the administration motivated to understand that we want them to do that work, to keep looking into those details to finally make the implementation happen. Otherwise, they'll point to a study, say, look, it's pretty complicated, and we did our work and now it's over, and I don't want that to happen. I want this to continue. And I believe actually supporting this will help continue.
Thank you, Councilman Breton. I want to ask if the patron would consider amending so that we can get that part that we're asking for beyond the study and continuing for amendment.
Yes, and for the record, we did try to amend this paper in committee. So, and I've always been amenable to taking that part out. I will say, my school board member, School Board Member Rizzi, as well as the principal of Open High School, submitted a letter of support, and they do feel very strongly, and the folks of Oregon Hill, whoever, Ona submitted a letter of support. So that was the kind of the impetus there, because we did just recently experienced a traffic fatality right on that intersection. So that was why we included that specifically. But I've always been amenable to doing whatever we need to do to get it to move forward.
So let me be clear, you would be amenable to amending, continuing and amending, or whichever order we would need to do it. Amending to be reflective of what has been raised as.
I think so. I'm amenable to amending the language, not specifically call out Belvedere. I think to Councilmember Breton's point, he made an excellent point. It's exactly right. It's spot on. It's the spirit of and the intent of legislation is to signal support for the installation and the expansion of this. Remember, this started as the genesis of this started with the new policy that got passed last year. So again, that would be my concern is if we pass this by, this study sits on a shelf. And, I think it's important. What we do up here is important. And so for the members of the administration, when we're going through the budget process next year, for them to see that we just struck it and voted it down, whether or not that's our intent sitting here today, how that's going to be perceived and our ability to advocate and stay motivated to invest in and move this policy forward remains questionable if we do this and if we don't pass this.
And I'm going to go to the next member, but for me, it wasn't about striking. It was about amending to be reflective of the items that were mentioned here and then coming back to vote on it. That was what I was meaning. So I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. Councilmember Jones, and then I'm going to see if we can't move forward. Yes, Councilmember Trammell, this has a little, it was down. Councilmember Trammell?
Thank you. I know that I'm getting a lot of texts and a lot of calls in reference to all the speeding that's going on Richmond Highway. Just last weekend, we had a truck that flipped over, and by the grace of God, he didn't get killed, but they all ran out there, flipped the truck back over before the police got there, and they took off. Then also, I just got a text from the ones that own the hotel on Richmond Highway. They're asking for the police chief or the major to please call them, which I know they're going to, because somebody came through there and did, I don't know, probably $100,000, maybe $200,000 worth of damage to their property at 5:30 in the morning, flying down Richmond Highway, came across, hit the Relax Inn Hotel, and total lost both of their vehicles that was in the driveway. By the grace of God, the car did not go through the wall, because if it did, they would have all been dead. They were asleep. So they're asking me to please, whatever you can do on that Richmond Highway and on Walmsley Boulevard. We don't give a damn if you put speed tables out there, but something's got to stop. Something's got to stop. Slow these people down, because once you've lost a loved one, you can't bring them back. And it's pretty bad when they were just flying. I know several times just this past weekend, being on Walmsley, almost got hit a couple of times. And I have a witness that was in a car where they just flew by us, flying by through, just going at least 60 to 70 miles an hour. And the police can't be everywhere because you don't have enough police officers. And we need something, give them more tools to help them do their job until they're able to get enough officers. And let's not forget that next year when the 25 officers leave from the drop program, we're really going to be hurting then. So I don't think any of you have been looking at that, but I sure in the hell have. Because next year there's at least 25 of them that's coming out of the drop program. That means that the time that they've asked, the 5 years or whatever it is, or 3 years, is no longer be available. And then what do? Especially if our police chief can't get enough people to come to the class to be, to get a class started so they can have more officers out on the street. But I am in favor of whatever tool that our police chief needs and our officers need to help them with this speeding, not only in the 8th district, but also all over the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Trammell, and I'm going to come to Councilmember Jones, and then I'd like to offer consideration of path forward.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to add that is there a way for us to even get inclusive of the study in as we work towards an implementation plan? What are the cameras doing now that we have? Because again, I don't want to get into this thing where we just adding more cameras. So is there a way also to even know how the cameras what we have right now, what is that doing? Because I agree, well, again, I'm in total agreement with my colleagues. I don't want this to be a signal of we are not concerned. I just had a fatality, 5700 block of Hull Street, just last Wednesday. I understand, but what are the cameras that we have now doing? Because are we putting them there to make it think that we are really enforcing the traffic or we are helping? Like, what are those cameras actually doing? And then again, think about what it's going to require, where is it going to go, how much is it going to cost? And I think that that is something that we owe to the public and to the community before we just start placing cameras outside of what's already there, and we don't even know how that's helping. Is it slowing down traffic? Have they seen any reduction? Have they seen anything change? Let's be real here. So if we are not addressing those, it's a both and it's the both can be true at the same time.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. Councilmember Lynch, I would ask if a path forward might be to continue this paper to June 9th with an amendment that is reflective of what is being articulated by members as concerns and items to be addressed.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's a great suggestion. I talked from Councilmember Jones, and I had a good discussion with Chief this afternoon to ask him that question, and he's, I think tracking that we've got those data needs to kind of demonstrate success with the current program. So absolutely amenable to all those things and more, whatever gets us moving forward.
And so I want to say thank you because we do support it and we do want it to move forward. And so I think this kind of gets to the win-win of it. So Madam Clerk, I hope we're at the point of calling.
Madam
I'm
President.
sorry, I do need a motion.
Yes, in a second.
Thank you.
Motion to amend and continue?
I think I motioned it.
Oh, you did? Okay, I need a
Second.
second.
My comments, but we didn't get a second.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
second.
So we have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Council is voting on Councilor Robertson's motion to continue Resolution 2024-R041 to the June 9th council meeting. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson? Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you. Let's proceed to the next item.
The next agenda item on this evening's regular agenda is as follows. Item number 29, ordinance number 2025-099, to amend City Code for the purpose of establishing a disposable plastic bag tax. That paper is before council.
Would someone from? Whoa.
Hi, good evening. Laura Thomas, Director of the Office of Sustainability. Thank you, Honorable Council President, Vice President, and council members. I am happy to be here to introduce this paper to you all to implement a plastic bag fee across the city of Richmond. This would be for grocers, drug stores, and convenience stores when distributing plastic bags to impose a 5-cent fee per bag. The revenues from that would be 4 cents per bag to the city and 1 cent per bag to that retailer specifically. This is in an effort to help reduce chronic litter that we're seeing throughout the community, reduce the impact on our critical stormwater and water infrastructure to help reduce capital maintenance costs, and to improve the overall environmental quality within the community. If approved today, this would become effective on January 1st, 2026, giving us a 6-month window to do outreach and education to both the business community and community members. We would be able to give you an extensive outreach calendar based on your approval this evening. The revenue from this would be specifically able to support environmental cleanups, providing education programs designed to reduce environmental waste, mitigate pollution and litter, and provide reusable bags to recipients of SNAP and WIC. This is an interdepartmentally supported paper, so folks such as Department of Public Works have reviewed and are of course supportive of it, and we're excited to be able to answer any questions or provide any additional information you might like.
Thank you. We will proceed with the public hearing. Please stay, though. There may be questions after the public hearing. We will proceed with the public hearing. Are there folks present in the audience desirous of speaking in opposition to this paper? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have any persons virtually desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper?
No, we do not, Madam President.
Thank you. Do we have persons present in the audience desirous of speaking in favor of the paper? If you would come forward, please.
Good evening. My name is Steve Marzoff. I'm in the 5th District. I'm also the newly elected chair of the Clean City Commission, your Clean City Commission. Wanted to just let you know that the Clean City Commission fully supports this resolution ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any persons who've joined us virtually?
We do, and that speaker is Ms. Ashley Coles.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashley Coles. I am also a member of the Clean City Commission for the 6th District Volunteer in support of the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to council for discussion. Councilwoman Robertson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got inquiry as to whether or not supporting this paper meant supporting taking care of our environment. And where do I stand on that? Absolutely stand on that 100%. I think it's more of a problem than we are talking about it in a way that we need to be talking about it. The question that I have is that, well, some of the comments that we've gotten back, or that I have gotten back, I should say, has been whether or not this is a additional fee that would be attached regionally or just in the city of Richmond. The other question that I would like to get an answer to is how much revenue do we expect that it will generate? The extra 5 cents per bag, and whether or not there are other options to consider that the cost is not passed on to the consumer, but the retailer would be charged with the responsibility of going to using, paper bags or other bagging other than plastic so that we can still achieve the same result that we're looking for. The folk that have called me that are concerned is not against the environment. They are against, when I go into the grocery store and I have, I don't know how many bags, I guess it depends on how much you buy. But what is that going to add to the per cost for Richmonders in Richmond, and whether or not we can accomplish the same results by asking the merchants to stop using plastic bags. I mean, at one time, that had been strongly considered. Some merchants that I cater to don't offer plastic bags, you know, just not even, they don't consider it as a part of their company policy. So those are the questions that I've been asked that I would like to be able to answer, because our citizens are always concerned that there's an extra fee to be paid for this and this and this in the city, all for good causes, but the cost of living in the city of Richmond already exceeds our surrounding counties. And so if you could help me answer those questions, that would be very beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great. Thank you for those. So to the first question on whether or not this is for City of Richmond or broader, this is specifically for the City of Richmond boundaries. The intent would be, of course, we would love to have a regional collaboration and have more municipalities in the state participate. If this is approved, we would become the 11th in the state to implement this. So based off of the other jurisdictions that have already approved this, we anticipate that in year one, the revenue would be approximately $400,000, but in subsequent years, you see a reduction in plastic bag usage, and that we would anticipate around $100,000 to $150,000 in revenue. And that is based on the 4 cents per bag to the city. And again, there's restrictions by the state on what we can use it for. So those funds are extremely limited to the environmental cleanups, the litter and waste reduction, and the reusable bag distribution to SNAP and WIC participants. So to the question on, does it have an impact? Are there other ways to ask folks to implement it? Of course, we want to and continue to promote business sustainability to the community. The Economic Development Department, they do a great job of that in partnership with us with various programs. Based off of the revenue you see in those other jurisdictions, it is reducing those plastic bags based off of that reduction in the first year. So you see a much larger impact with implementing something of this manner. And overall, we want to make sure that we are promoting this in a way that allows the retailers to determine how they would like to implement it. So they're allowed to pass the fee on, or they can absorb the fee themselves. And the way that they determine this is for these larger retailers, such as big box stores. They operate in other jurisdictions where they're already doing this. So it's simply a copy paste. Very little minimal impact on those. It's more of your convenience stores and your mom and pop drug stores that we're going to take intentional time to do outreach to them to help them understand A, what their options are, B, share cost points on things like paper bags. Right, at one point we used to exclusively use paper bags. Plastic came around and we said, let's use that as an alternative. And we're kind of realizing what some of those downstream impacts are today. So we'll do that education piece and then help them understand how to file their paper, basically how to report on how many bags they're selling. So every month they report to the Department of Taxation a form on various elements of their business. This will essentially, Department of Taxation will add one line for them to say how many bags that they sold, and at our rate, they would then get that revenue back from the state. The state would automatically also provide the revenue to us. So we don't administer the program, the state does. We just receive the funding for it. So for those folks that are currently using plastic bags, we will, yes, absolutely continue to educate them on alternatives, their options within this framework. And then I think the last thing that I would say is, for community members, we will be going out for the next 6 months and beyond, educating folks on what the impacts are. And if there's anybody in the city of Richmond that wants a reusable bag, we'd be more than happy to provide one to them. So the intent would be to make sure that if they don't want to have to purchase a bag, at least in this first year, we can make sure that we provide that to them directly.
Madam Chair, do we have a list of the businesses in the city of Richmond that would be subject to this regulation at the current time?
Department of Economic Development has a really robust list, and we're going to be partnering with them to go through that and make sure that we're capturing everybody. We're going to be walking throughout, I think even potentially later this month or July, walking throughout every district, going door to door to these smaller mom and pop convenience stores and grocery stores to make sure that we're able to connect with every single one that would be impacted.
Is it possible to get the list that you currently have as to what businesses will be subjected to this additional charge being added to their customer's bill?
Yeah, the intent would be, if passed today, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, to provide council with a general outreach and education calendar. And then during that time, we'll also work on getting a more detailed one that we can provide and workshop with each council member to make sure we're hitting all the right spots in every
Have we
district.
made any inquiries with the businesses that will be impacted at the present time? Do they know?
At the present time, this has not been a broad community discussion. This was in conversation in 2021 at the state level when they discussed statewide how to implement this. So that's been the only outreach to date.
Okay.
Councilmember Trammell?
Thank you. I know that I was going to support this, but after I got so many phone calls, so many texts in the past couple of days, especially from the seniors, they were so upset because they were saying, you know, when you go to the store and you get like 10 bags or whatever, that's 5 cents, so that's 50 cents. Then they said that if you get the food delivered to your home, a lot of people do because they can't get to the stores because they're elderly. They were asking how, you know, they still gonna be charged for the bags if the food is being delivered. Also, they said that, you know, it'll go up from 5 cents to 10 cents, then 20 cents, just like everything else does. Like, for instance, the stormwater. I can remember back when somebody else was sitting up there and said, this is gonna be the flat rate. It's not. It's unreal. And that's what a lot of the citizens, especially the seniors, are upset about because they said that those 5 cents add up a whole lot, especially when they don't have it right now. They're living, you know, like they said, they don't even get an increase in Social Security. And when they do, their medical goes up and they got more health problems and they're counting every penny. And believe me, I've seen this at the grocery stores. I've seen it at the drugstores where they just looking for change to pay for their food or pay for their medicine. So that's why I just cannot support this because I hear them and I listen to my people. When they tell me no, they have a reason to say no. So I'm sorry that, you know, I know you and I talked and I appreciate that. And I thought it was a good thing. And I'm not against, you know, trying to clean up the rivers and all of that stuff. But when it comes to my seniors where they can't pay for something, I have to consider that. But thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you.
Councilmember Jordan?
Thank you. Sir, Ms. Thomas, can you speak to the delivery issue and then also what outreach we could do towards our seniors to make sure that we're providing them potentially with reusable bags, even if they don't qualify for the WIC or the SNAP?
Yeah, thank you, Vice President and Councilwoman Trammell. I appreciate those comments. Having seniors in my family in the same situation, I can certainly understand that. As far as the delivery goes, if it's a, you know, whatever delivery service, a Grubhub or a whatever the others are, that is directly from food retailers, and food retailers are not included in this. So it's specifically drug stores, convenience stores, and grocery stores. So perhaps if it's a grocery store situation, they might be able to pass that on. But again, these large big box retailers, which are doing grocery deliveries, do this in other jurisdictions across the country and within the state. I'm happy to work with any council members that might like to specifically identify if there's groups of individuals that we should be paying particular attention to or doing site visits for, that we can bring a large quantity of those reusable bags to them and help distribute to those members that might be concerned about any personal cost to them. We want to avoid that at all costs.
So, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say thank you because I hadn't even thought about the delivery food, honestly. And but I do want to support this paper. We have such issues with single-use plastics and, you know, but I hear the concerns. We have to make sure that we are providing folks with alternatives because absolutely, you know, when I go to our Kroger, you see people struggling every single line. You also see people who are forced into desperate situations that are just taking things, right? We don't want that either. But just the effects of the plastics to me is really staggering. And especially the way it's clogging up our drains and causing all kinds of other larger problems for our infrastructure. And I wish Director Vincent had been able to come here today because I thought he spoke really well to the implications with DPW. But Yeah, and I tell you what, our bags are going to be better than those wimpy plastic bags, right? They're going to hold up for multiple uses and, okay, thank you.
Ms. Thomas, I have a question for you. I certainly support us making sure that we're not further negatively impacting our environment and all that goes with that. But I'm also concerned about our citizenry. Certainly our families, SNAP and WIC, but our seniors and others. Is there anything in this paper that clearly commits us to purchasing reusable bags and distributing them to citizens who are would be negatively impacted, even though we say, well, 5 cents, but that's still 5 cents. Is there anything in this that commits us to purchasing and making those bags available?
This paper would commit us to those 4 categories of uses allowed by the state, which includes the commitment to purchasing reusable bags for SNAP and WIC recipients. It does not mandate that that would have to be followed, but that specific item of the 4, but one of those 4 or some combination of those 4 would be what we have to spend the dollars on. So we are happy to work with everyone in the room and with the constituents to determine what those options look like and how, what the dollars are used for on the back end within those 4 categories.
So you said very specifically SNAP and WIC. I have at least 7 senior facilities in my district, and many of our members have, and seniors. So that would not be a category that we could.
Correct. That would come from Office of Sustainability operating budget, and we're committed to that. And we're partnering with economic development as well. So they're supporting us in that purchase and distribution of that as well.
Okay.
For the non-SNAP and WIC. Obviously, the SNAP and WIC will be receiving it per the legislation for the funding for that specifically through the revenue that is generated from this. The revenue generated from this is not able to be used on non-SNAP or WIC recipients for reusable bags, but we certainly see that there is a significant need for that and do intend to include that in our outreach and education throughout.
Thank you. Councilmember Trammell?
Yes, I meant to ask you earlier. The seniors said that sometimes when you put your meat in the bags, or they put them in the plastic bags, sometimes they put them in 2 plastic bags. Would they be charged twice since they got 2 bags instead of 1?
That's a great question. Actually, all of the prepackaged foods like meats and things like that, all of that is exempt. None of those things would be included in this fee.
So they would not be charged for anything like that.
No, it's just the end product. Even thicker reuse or thicker quote unquote single use plastic bags are not included in this legislation. So the thickness is called 4 mil. So an average plastic grocery store bag is like a 2 mil size. So a little bit thicker than that, and that would be excluded as well. So it's only those in use, like at the register bags that you use. And if there's any of that pre-packaged selection in the meat area where you're packaging meats or things of that nature, those are exempt.
I think we need more information. I think because I'm getting, people can be really confused about, because we just thought it was like when you go to the store and you don't tell them what to put in a plastic bag or what to put in a paper bag or whatever. They have, some places don't even have paper bags anymore. It's all plastic. So it would be great to know what they can charge and what they cannot charge. So I think we need more information before we can even really vote on this tonight.
And I can share the exception list, which is durable plastic bags with handles that are at least the 4 milliliters thick, plastic bags that are solely used to wrap, contain, or package ice cream, meat, fish, poultry, produce, unwrapped bulk food items or perishable food items, plastic bags used to carry dry cleaning or prescription drugs, and multiple plastic bags sold in packages and intended for use as garbage, pet waste, or leaf removal bags. So those are the exceptions that are written into the legislation.
You also said seniors wouldn't have to pay too, right?
If you're not bringing a reusable bag and you're using one of those single-use plastic bags from the register, you would pay regardless. But again, we are committed to making sure that we're distributing those reusable bags to folks that don't want to use that fee.
I know many of the seniors can't afford even the bags that you buy for like $2 or $3. And then they forget to bring them back and then
Okay, so Ms. Thomas, I certainly committed. This is something I think would be invaluable for our city, but just having those two categories concern me, and I would be looking for a solid commitment to being able to purchase and distribute to seniors, especially reusable bags, so that they're not incurring this additional cost. And you're saying that we are committed to doing that. Is that correct?
Legally, per what the state is
No,
allowing
I'm
us
clear
to
that
do.
the state delineates SNAP and WIC. I'm talking about we, the city administration now.
We are committed to that.
Okay. Okay.
What costs are they committed to that? Is that something that's coming out of your budget as a result of this paper being passed and the collection of the money? You're planning on using some of that for the purpose of that, but not out of your current budget?
The revenue generated from this, we would use to, in part, to purchase the bags for SNAP and WIC recipients, but above SNAP and WIC, we're committing to using operational dollars for Office of Sustainability.
And what kind of budget are you planning to have for that?
We don't have a specific budget. We've spoken with other municipalities that have implemented this, and it ranges based on their specific needs. So some have had higher populations of seniors, some have had it lower. So we'll have to start the distribution process.
So you have criteria for what you're going to use you have operating money now to buy bags, is what you're saying, for anyone that wants them.
Correct.
Why don't we just spend the money and buy the bags and forget about the 5-cent tax?
I think the point is, on the back end, when you start using this as legislation within those jurisdictions, again, from 400,000 down to 150,000, you see much larger impacts than just suggestions.
Okay. Councilman Brecken.
Well, I wanted to just chime in support of this paper. I do realize that anytime anything is a flat tax, there's that risk of being a regressive tax, right? And so that's a very important thing to keep in mind, which where a lot of these questions are coming from. At the same time, it's good when you can be taxing something that you want less of rather than taxing something that you want more of, right? The primary motivation here is we are trying to reduce, and we need to reduce, the use of these single-use plastic bags that proliferate in the streets, in our pipes, in our waters. And so creating this fee, which will in some cases be passed on to consumers, in other cases not, is a necessary way to change behavior. And so it sounds like during that first year, people go that first time and they forget to bring their bag, and they pay the 5 cents. And by the second year, they get into the habit. And so that's where by the time we get into the second year, people remember, oh yeah, I'm going shopping, I got to bring my bag. And so the fact that we are building in these considerations for people who need extra, bags is a necessary part. I'm glad that that's part of the process, and I think it's very important that we're getting that confirmation that we're just reiterating the importance of supporting people on limited incomes, because flat taxes can be can have that other outsized inequitable impact. So, but then again, pollution and also and litter also has inequitable impact as well. And so this is an important part of creating a more sustainable city. And I'm glad to hear how committed your department is to offering your own funds as well to help mitigate those. And so I've been in cities that have done this before. It's worked well. People start to remember to bring their bags. And so I think it's a good program, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Thank you. Councilman Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to express support for the paper as well. From my standpoint, the bags that that customers are currently using. They're paying for it's embedded in the price of the products that they're buying in the store. And more and more, we're seeing, especially more affordable grocery stores like Lidl and Aldi, and they charge for the bags regardless. So I think consumers are beginning to get used to paying the additional for the bags. You're seeing more and more folks go into the grocery store with bags in hand because they're prepared. They know that their bags are no longer free in many cases. And so, if we can do some work to try to, enhance the environment and grow more awareness to this, I think that is certainly a worthy goal. And I applaud the work that you've done and hope that we're able to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lynch.
So I've come a long way on the bag tax policy from where I started like years ago, to where I am now. I was previously opposed to bag taxes, for all the reasons, that our colleagues, the concerns that have been, brought forward. But you go on enough, neighborhood cleanups and you spend enough time at our beautiful James River looking at plastic bags and litter just caught up in almost every single flora and fauna element down there, and you realize that, man, we are not doing very well as a city on being clean and keeping our environment, keeping our house tidy, which impacts everything else. So I was down at the river with my daughter, and we had a discussion. She's 3, and she got the principle of why litter is bad and what that ultimately does for our oceans, rivers, and streams. So I again, come cycled a long way on it, but I fully support the measure, and thank you for bringing it forward and getting us to this place.
Thank you. Again, I'm going to call the question, but I am going to ask that you will come back and share with us the administration's earmarking of funds specifically for those populations that would not qualify under this particular legislation, the SNAP and WIC, but for our seniors specifically. So I'll look forward to that because we want to make sure that there's not negative impact here. So with that, Madam Clerk.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
last comment, please.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't see you there.
I appreciate that. Like I said from the beginning, I have absolutely no opposition, and I'd like to see us get to a place where there's a whole lot of plastic that is out there, that plastic bags at the entities that you spoke of, convenience stores, and our low-income neighborhoods, we don't have grocery stores. So our customer base is going back and forth to these stores just to buy some of the essential kinds of things to just try to keep things operational. Most of the time when we go to the grocery store, because we don't have any grocery stores in our neighborhood, all of our neighborhoods are food deserts. So who's going to pay the tax is the convenience stores mostly, I think, in the city of Richmond. And those convenience stores, we're having all kinds of challenge with what they're doing. And a lot of it is much larger than the bags that they use, even though, where you see the cleanups, they are around those low quality drugstores and convenience stores. That's where we see the trash. And I think in the plastic, I think that I would like for us to do a larger educational campaign. And I would hope that we cannot impose a tax that is going to negatively impact who's going to pay the most are going to be the communities that we've neglected all along that don't have a quality grocery store, that the merchants respect the fact of the environment and the merchants take the responsibilities of not using plastic to the extent that you're speaking of. And, you know, these neighborhoods have been disenfranchised. They are already paying more for this food or whatever they can get out of a convenience store or one of these so-called drugstores that also sell other merchandise that are beneficial. Our problem with not providing quality food stores and allowing convenience stores to sell more products like liquor, that we pass legislation to have it put in a plastic bag so that we will know the volume of liquor that's being sold or alcohol beverages and cigarettes out of these stores. This gives them the opportunity to add additional tax to that. And I would hope that we could get to the merchants themselves and let them be the accountable person, because I get more plastic on my front porch that is delivered from orders that are delivered to my front porch than I probably buy out of plastic bags in the grocery store and not have to go to the convenience stores. I see it as a regressive tax, and for that reason, it's not against plastic. And I think that the city needs to think larger about plastic. I mean, many of these families that we're talking about, when they get that plastic bag from the grocery store, that's also the plastic liner that they put in their trash can, because they can't afford to buy additional trash liners for their trash can. So I think we're missing the inequitable burden and who's going to pay for this. And then for us to say that we will use general funds to provide them with alternative bags, I think that if we want to do that and we can afford to do that as a city, I think we should do that. But I would really want the merchants to take ownership of this, because that's the only way we're really going to start having a significant number of folk engaged in this initiative to really make a difference. And if I don't have a grocery store in my district, which I don't, nowhere, and I go from Henrico to Chesterfield and straight through the middle of the city, and I go to the county and I can get my groceries in my plastic bag, don't cost me an extra nickel. But that's what we'll be doing. And the convenience stores, they don't, too many of them are not in compliance with their level of alcohol beverages that they sell and tobacco products that they sell. And we're having a hard time trying to regulate that. There are advertisements all over the windows of the stores and so forth. We aren't doing a good job at regulating any of that. If we're depending on them to report, when they don't report how much food they're selling versus ABC products correctly, I don't think, to the city. I think this is just a regressive tax that is not going to generate, and the comparison to $400,000 out of the neighborhoods that I think are going to be impacted by that, that's a lot of money for those neighborhoods. And I cannot support this paper for that reason. I'm altogether supportive of an aggressive campaign citywide to help us deal with issues of plastic that impact, and, you know, plastic bottles, soda bottles that we face in our, treatment plants and so forth that build up a lot of collection. I mean, it's a major issue. It's a major issue, no question about it. But I cannot support a regressive tax that is going to put the burden of an additional $400,000 on some of the lowest income families in the city that we haven't found a way to build a decent grocery store so they can eat healthy food. So I can't support this for that reason. But I want to work with you to see how we can address the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would, Ms. Thomas, thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would call the question.
Council is now voting on ordinance number 2025-099 as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Abstain.
Ms. Robertson,
No.
Ms. Lynch, Ms. Trammell,
No.
Ms. Abubakar,
Aye.
Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If we could proceed. Oh, I think we're at the point of any motions to amend. If not, at this point, I don't think we have any, correct?
We do have two
We do.
motions.
Okay. And then we'll go to the expedited papers for consideration from there.
Okay. Before you is a motion to amend item number 4, ordinance number 2025-078, which authorizes the special use of 1843 West Gray Street for the purpose of one dwelling unit within an accessory building to a single-family attached dwelling upon certain terms and conditions. And the proposed amendment would change the dwelling type from a single-family attached to two-family attached dwellings. Vice President Jordan, would you make the motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting?
So moved.
Councilmember Robertson, will you second that motion? Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-078 to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson,
Aye.
Ms. Lynch, Ms. Trammell,
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar, Vice President Jordan, and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper, as amended, will be before you again on June 23rd. The second motion to amend is for item number 5, ordinance number 2025-084, which authorizes the special use of the property known as 1707 Tyler Street for the purpose of one two-family detached dwelling upon certain terms and conditions, and the proposed amendment would modify the survey. Councilmember Gibson, would you make the motion to amend and continue this ordinance to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting?
So moved.
Councilmember Jones, will you second that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2025-084 to the Monday, June 23rd council meeting as stated. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar, Vice President Jordan,
Aye.
and President Newbill.
Aye.
That motion has been approved, and that paper as amended will be before you again on June 23rd.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed to the expedited papers for consideration.
The first paper for expedited consideration this evening is a resolution to appoint Kimberly Kyle to the position of council liaison. I will need a motion to expedite consideration of this paper. Councilmember Robertson, will you please make this motion?
Yes, ma'am. I'm more than privileged to make that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Abubakar, will you second that motion, please?
I will second that.
Thank you. Council is voting on the motion to expedite consideration of the proposed resolution as read. Mr. Breton,
Aye.
Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Robertson,
Aye.
Ms. Trammell, Ms. Abubakar, Vice President Jordan,
Aye.
and President Newbill.
Aye.
That paper is before you for consideration.
Okay, members, at this point, we will have a public hearing on the paper. And would the patron like to make any?
Madam Chair, Ms. Kyle come to us in this position as no stranger to the city of Richmond. She has several years of experience working with the city as an exceptionally outstanding employee that have done a tremendous job even for our central office of the council and providing us excellent human services for our recruitments and the like. I've had the good fortune of her assisting me over the past few months and have been extremely impressed with the services that she's providing, not only with her knowledge of the city, But her dedication and commitment to the district so far has been extraordinary. And I would ask for you all to reach out to her, your liaisons to reach out to her. She's going to be an added addition to our liaison staff. And I would ask for your humble support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, we'll proceed with the public hearing. Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to this paper in the audience, if you would come forward? Madam Clerk, do we have anyone virtually desirous of speaking in opposition?
No, Madam President, we do not.
Thank you. Do we have persons in the audience desirous of speaking in favor of the paper? You would come forward. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have any persons who've joined us virtually?
We do not.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the body for any discussion. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you would call the question.
Council is voting on the proposed resolution as read. Mr. Breton?
Yay.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson?
Yay.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar?
Aye.
Vice President Jordan?
Aye.
And President Newbill?
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's proceed to the next item.
The next paper for expedited consideration this evening is a resolution to appoint Foster Curtis as the interim Inspector General. I will need a motion to expedite consideration of this paper. Vice President Jordan, will you make that motion, please?
So moved.
Member Breton, will you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Council is voting on the motion to expedite consideration of the proposed resolution as read. Mr. Breton.
Madam President, I guess you didn't see that I had a question before we went there.
Be-
Okay,
We're going to come back in
I'm sorry,
time for
what?
questions.
I'm-
We will have opportunity
Okay,
for
all right,
questions.
thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, because evidently you don't see my light when it's up. I don't understand.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Breton.
Aye.
Ms. Gibson.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson.
Aye.
Ms. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Trammell.
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar.
Aye.
Vice President Jordan.
Aye.
And President Newbill.
Aye.
That paper is before you for consideration.
Thank you. Just as a quick item before we go to public hearing and come back to council, we are in need of appointing an interim IG to manage the ongoing work of the IG office while we council oversee the transition in leadership. And with that, we will proceed with a public hearing. Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in opposition to the paper? You would come forward. Any who've joined us virtually, Madam Clerk?
No, Madam President.
Do we have persons present desirous of speaking in favor of the paper? Seeing none, any who've joined us virtually?
No, we do not have any virtual speakers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bring it back to Councilmember Trammell.
Did you have a meeting in reference with Mr. Curtis to speak to him about this, about if he would accept it to be an intern?
You said, did I?
Or did it?
You asked if I had a meeting? Yes, yes. That I did
Okay,
along
are
with
we
the
giving-
Vice President, yes.
Are you giving him more money and all of that? Because I didn't know if all of us had been included in this. I mean, I have no problem, voting for him, but I don't know if there was another discussion about this. If he accepted it, did you offer him more money?
I did not offer more money, just what the salary is for that position.
So he's going to
There's right, other than what is standardly given when you're moving and acting.
do what now?
Other than the standard percent that's given when someone is acting, there was nothing major in terms of additional salary.
All right, I'll just say this.
I'm-
What was she saying? What did she
Okay, so there was no additional, the person who is assuming or would assume this position, Mr. Curtis, would receive the salary that the IG would be paid at that salary during this interim period. Other questions or comments?
So we're not saying how much or any, was it like 5%, 10%? Is because he's,
I can get the exact, it is the
well, we should
interim,
have all this before we voted on this tonight, I would think.
Ms. Trammell?
What?
I said, Ms. Trammell, this gentleman is agreeing to serve interim capacity at the salary that we offer the IG. That has not changed in terms of any increased amount. And I can give you that exact amount, but that is where we are.
Let me just say this. I have every right to ask you questions about this, since this is the first time seeing this and hearing about this. And I've told you before, and I'll tell you right now, this investigation is not over. And what you did wrong to what you did to the IG. You were wrong in what your decision was. 100% wrong.
Thank you, Ms. Trammell. I did nothing individually.
You did it
Period.
when I was not here, and you knew I was not going to be here on the 12th of May. You knew I was not going to be here. You knew I was going to be in Tidewater with my grandson for his graduation, and you did this. Why did you have to do it? What was so urgent for you to do this? Did anything happen up there with the IG? Did he kill anybody? Did he get in a wreck? Was he drinking? Any of that? That you had to do this when I wasn't here? Because I'm quite sure the other three new ones might not have voted for this had they known that this investigation was not completed. And they shouldn't have voted on it because they were new. They didn't know him.
Thank you, Ms. Trammell.
No.
There are 9
Every time
council
I
members.
get it right, you want to shut me up.
I didn't shut you.
No, we're not finished with this.
You were
discussion.
not completed with your comment?
No. Because I just think you were wrong in what you did that night.
Thank you. There are 9 members of this body.
And you took it upon yourself to bring them in there at a closed session when I was not here, when some of the older ones right here worked with him more so than the new ones did. And I don't know about you, I'll just speak about me. I know what investigation he was working on probably before you did, because he could never get you and talk to you about some of the things that he was working on. And you know that. You know
I
that
know no such
Yes,
as
you
what you're
do.
talking
Yes,
about,
you
Ms.
knew that I
Trammell, but
knew.
okay.
You knew that some of those investigations are still not completed, and he was still working on them because some people were calling me, giving me the information, and I was calling him, giving it to him. Then when you found out, then you told him, oh, you can stay home, but you're not going to be working anymore, because you knew I was feeding him the information that was being given to me.
Ms. Trammell,
That's all right. You've already did what you did.
thank you. First of all, there are 9 members on this body. And are you still commenting? Okay, there are 9 members on this body. 8 of them were available. This is a matter that was hanging out for several weeks. And the item was nothing that I did. There was nothing that I ever directed this staffer not to pursue ever. No matter what you say, I would not do that. And so with that, I would like to call the question.
Council is now voting on the proposed resolution as read. Mr. Breton?
Aye.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. Robertson? Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell?
Aye.
Ms. Abubakar? Vice President Jordan? And President Newbill?
Aye.
That paper has been adopted.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Madam President, would you like me to go ahead and do the approval of the minutes?
Yes.
The
And
minutes,
then, yes.
Yes.
And then we have other papers, ordinances as well for intro.
the minutes to be approved are from the Monday, May 12th, informal and formal meetings at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. If there are no corrections and/or amendments, the minutes will be approved as presented. Those minutes have been approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's go into the intro for the ordinances and any resolutions additional.
Council members, the list of legislation for introduction this evening consisting of items 5 through 23 has been provided to you, and the legislation on this list is hereby introduced as presented. A copy of the list is currently available for public inspection at the rear of the council chamber, and an electronic copy and copies of the listed legislation will be available on the city's website on Tuesday, June 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll proceed with reports and announcements. Councilmember Abubakar.
Thank you, President Newbill. First and foremost, we will be having our next district meeting on Tuesday, June 24th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Gramophone on Forest Hill Avenue. This one will be featuring a presentation and a Q&A with our city auditor, Riyadh Ali, who's also a 4th District resident. West River Hills and Forest Hill are having their yard sale this Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon. The details of that were in my newsletter, and a map with all of the houses participating can be found on social media pages. Friends of James River Park System is working really hard to make sure that residents' experience at the park this summer is safe and good. So they are funding a security company to enforce parking in the Pony Pasture, Huguenot, Flatwater parking lots. I'd like to thank our partners at DPW for helping make sure that we have traffic enforcement, parking enforcement outside of those parking lots. Also, JRPS is hosting a park cleanup every Monday morning, which meets at 7 a.m. in the Pony Pasture parking lot. So if you are available on a Monday morning and looking for something to do and feel good, go join JRPS. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Abubakar. Councilwoman Trammell.
I just want to say that this weekend I had many calls in my district over there off a couple streets, Dale Avenue and Glasgow. And I want to thank the police chief and also Major Keyshawn Mans for taking all of my calls and for sending the officers out there because it is one of the filthiest place I've ever seen in my 8th district. Pictures don't lie. I shared them on Facebook. And to me, I just don't know how we keep saying that, that we have all these different things out there that can help to get different people off the street. But, they have to want to get help in order to get off the street. But when you're sitting there and you're half naked out in the street and being pushed out of a car that I witnessed along with the person with me. And I could go into more details, but I'm not in here. But again, I just want to say thank you, Chief, and thank you, Major Keyshawn Mans, for taking my calls, and the officer that came out there, very professional, and asked the 2 ladies, do you have ID? No, we don't have no ID. Then why in the hell are you out here? Get off the property, you're trespassing. Motel owner calls me up very upset because he's been asking for help, calling the mayor's office last year, not this time, but last year because he gave up, with no help whatsoever. I've asked for help last year with no help from the previous administration. All of Richmond Highway, even on Broad Rock now, and Walmsley, I've been seeing a lot of stuff going on at Walmsley, not only for all the speeding, but some of the other things. I'm gonna have a conversation with our police chief tomorrow and with Sabrina before she leaves, because I'll tell you one damn thing, I'm gonna miss her when she's gone. I will miss her definitely. So I just want to thank all the citizens that called me in reference to what was going on in their neighborhood, so disgusted. And especially when you got, what do they call the porta-johns out there, for our city workers to go in there on a Monday morning and because they're working on the streets. But you see them having sex in there. You see them shooting up when they're coming out. Come ride with me, I'll show you. And what do? Look at me like, who in the hell are you? I'm like, look at the badge right there on my, hanging from a window. Just look at it. We don't give a damn who you are. But anyway, we'll have more of a conversation on that pretty soon. And I hope the mayor will have a conversation with me too about that, because I'm just about sick of it. And so are my people that I represent. This right here is your smoke alarm. It wouldn't have had, smoke alarm would not have helped in the house that was abandoned over there on Cortlandt Street because the people decided to set it on fire because nobody was living in it. So they set it on fire, burned it all up. Thank God nobody got killed. But anyway, and also I found out there was already, somebody had already bought the property and the vacant lot beside it, right there on Cole Street, so they could put 2 houses there. So hopefully they'll be able to get their permits so they can tear it down before somebody else goes in there and sets it on fire again. But this right here is just free smoke alarm. If you go talk to the firefighters at any station, they'll come there and they'll put the smoke alarm up for you for free. Or you can call 646-1526 and they will come and check your smoke alarm, put it up for free, or put the batteries in there too if you need one. If you have any questions, you can call my home at 804-233-7382. It's 804-233-7382. Call my personal cell at 804-240-5050. And I want to thank the ones that call me after I leave here. And when I answer the phone, they say, my God, it is you. What the hell you think I'm going to do? Give you a fake number in front of thousands of people? That ain't happening. I've had this number since 1990. Don't plan on changing it. Thank you. Oh, let me just say this. Our meeting is going to be June the 12th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Satellite. We're going to have some great speakers. I don't have the flyer in front of me, but please be there on June the 12th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Satellite, 4000 Richmond Highway, 23234. Again, we will have some great speakers. Thank you.
Councilmember Lynch.
Thank you. I said every council meeting, but Reva, you're a tough act to follow every time.
Say more.
So, civic and association meetings. The Swansboro West Civic Association is holding their monthly cleanup this Saturday, June 7th at 10 a.m. They meet behind Swansboro Elementary School. Carolina Civic Association is meeting next Tuesday night at Unity Church at 6:30 p.m. And next Thursday, June 12th, is Senior Day in the park at Bird Park. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Amy, just a flag for you all, Amy is on vacation. That means I'm half of a person. And our wonderful intern, KJ Dowling, is helping me hold down the fort. And you can reach us by calling 804-646-5724 or emailing stephanie.lynch or amy.robbins@rva.gov. Thank you.
Councilmember Robertson.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. A few announcements. The 6th District is having a special Community Awards banquet on June the 20th at 6 o'clock at the Hippodrome. We will be giving out some special recognitions for some outstanding leaders in our community. And so we are hopeful that we'll get a good turnout on June 20th at 6 o'clock at the Hippodrome. On the river, open air amphitheater is having a special grand opening concert, I think, on June the 4th. That's this week, Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And that is at 305 Tredegar Street. Hope you come out and have a good time on the river. Underground Kitchen is having their Juneteenth community celebration, celebration of freedom. That would be June 19th at 5:30 at the Annie Giles Community Center. I would suggest that you give Underground Kitchen a call to make reservations to attend this special event. It is a partial fundraiser to support our Smart Soul Food initiative that we have going on as well. The Spam Center will be celebrating those citizens in the city of Richmond 100 years plus, and they will be having an open house at 1300 Sims Avenue. That will be on June the 9th at 3 o'clock. Please drop by and see the history of these outstanding residents. And I will be also having a meeting on June the 12th at 6 o'clock in the 3200 block of 2nd Avenue We have two special use permits that are before the Planning Commission, one in the 3200 block, the other one in the 3100 block of Second Avenue. Both of those papers are planned to be continued at the Planning Commission tomorrow, so you don't need to come there to express your concerns. We also have a paper at the Planning Commission as it relates to the urban design for the bridge over the canal off of Hall Street. That paper will not be voted on tomorrow neither. But I do encourage you to come to the June 12th meeting at 6 o'clock in the 3200 block, Second Avenue, to learn more about our special use permits and the changes that are being made as it relates to opportunities there. And I would like, Madam Chair, if Ms. Kimberly Kies will at least stand so that all of my colleagues here on council that may not know this beautiful lady can identify with her and the staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome, Ms. Kiles, again. Councilmember Jones?
Thank you, Madam President. This Thursday, June 5th, Southside Community Center will be hosting a block party. This is the rescheduled rain date from when we had the ribbon cutting a couple of months back. And so it's from 4 to 7 p.m. There will be food, live music, family field day, a boxing demo, and much, much more. This is for all ages, all adults. It's an event for all. And it's meant to bring the community together. And so no matter what your age or your languages, you are welcome. And hopefully, council colleagues, if you are free, you will all stop by as well. And then Thursday, June 19th, we will not have our monthly 9th District Town Hall as this third Thursday falls on Juneteenth. So we are encouraging everyone to attend the city's event that they will be hosting at the Intermediate Terminal featuring line dancing with Rhonda. And so that's the Jubilation in June. That'll be on Thursday, June 19th. And so in lieu of our 9th District Town Hall, we have something else fun for you to do. Want to give a shout out to, although they're in the 2nd District, but he was all over the city this week, Charged Up Noah with the Charged Up Fest. He really does a big thing for the youth as it relates to music and hip hop. And he had a whole festival going this week and closed it out last night. And so I just wanted to shout him out for inviting our young people to come and join a lot of the activities that they had. It was awesome. And lastly, your local library, ours is Broad Rock. And so this Tuesday, June 10th, the advisory group will be meeting to share ideas on fundraising for the library. Every Monday through Thursday, homework help. Well, school is out, but we can still always use some extra support and extra homework help or reading and learning. And that's happening from 3:30 to 5:30 every Thursday from 11 to 12:30 p.m. Shalom Farms Mobile Market is there with fresh and affordable locally grown fruits and vegetables. And every Monday in June and July, English conversation practice actually starts tonight from 6:30 to 7:30. And just for clarification, the homework help will be going on through the summer. So you may not necessarily have homework, but you may need some help with other things. For more information, you can also just reach out to Broad Rock, either by their website or giving them a call. You can always reach my office, nicole.jones@rba.gov, or my liaison, Taya West, at taya.west@rba.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gibson?
Thank you. So our next 3rd District meeting will be June 18th at 6 p.m. at Henderson Middle School. And as luck would have it, we will be joined by the Director of Department of Utilities, Mr. Scott Morris. He'll introduce himself and we'll be answering questions. And I know folks in my district will have many. So please come. Light refreshments will be served. There are several open houses for the draft zoning districts, uses, and map for code refresh that are coming up this month. I want to make sure folks are aware of June 25th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Southside Community Center. That's at 6255 Old Warwick Road. And then on June 26th from 9 to noon at City Hall in the first floor lobby. And June 26th from 4 to 7 at the Richmond Main Public Library. Tomorrow evening, there's a planning commission meeting on the 5th floor. That's in the conference room, I believe, at 6 p.m. There is one third district project on the agenda, and I encourage all residents to check the agenda out, which can be found on the Legistar. And also on Tuesday, June 10th, the Rosedale Civic Station is meeting. I will be attending that meeting as well. And finally, please be sure to sign up for our emailing list, which can be found at the rva.gov website. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me at kenya.gibson@rva.gov and include my liaison, Sarandon, at sarandon.elliott@rva.gov, or you can call our office at 804-646-6055.
Thank you. Councilman Breton.
I want to thank Director Vincent for attending my town hall, which was tonight at Mary Mumford Elementary that I had to miss. But thankfully, he was there. My liaison, Whitney, was also able to run that meeting for me. I want to thank her for running my meeting as well. But our next town hall, where you can catch me in person, will be June 25th on Wednesday, also at Mary Mumford Elementary. And in the meantime, everyone, whether you're in my district or not, should subscribe to Richmond Ready Alerts. And that link is available on the main rva.gov website. And then also, I encourage everyone, my district or not, to subscribe to my newsletter, which you can also get to from the City Council website. So thanks all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Jordan.
Thank you so much. I want to start off by thanking everyone who came out to our community meeting. We had a really good discussion on the zoning refresh. We also had the GRTC team out talking about the new north-south pulse route and the proposed stops. So please definitely check out grtc.com's website and the planned north-south route. It's very exciting. And this is your opportunity to see where those proposed stops are and give input on design. We also had our friends from the Richmond Public Libraries, and they've got a great summer reading program they're doing with pretty phenomenal prizes, including a Nintendo Switch. So if you really need a reason, there's so many great reasons to read, but they've layered on some real incentives there. So share it with your favorite young reader. Also want to thank folks who came out to our Governmental Operations Committee last Wednesday. We had Director Morris speaking on the water issues, as well as the team from Richmond Gas Works, our new general services, discussing capital maintenance and urban forestry. All that is online. You can go back and watch it. Some really good information was shared, and I appreciate all the staff that came out for that. Most of my other announcements have already been covered. Just want to remind folks that early voting for the primary has started, and it will go through June 14th. If you have any questions about what's on your ballot, you can go to rva.gov/elections. Also wanted to say it was real wonderful experience to be here at City Hall when we rose the Pride flag, and there are terrific events all throughout the city. Just Google RVA Pride, from Restaurant Week specials to events at Diversity RVA, which I'm still sad is no longer in the second. Councilmember Gibson, you really gained there. Anyway, lots of great things going on around the city, including at the Black History Museum, celebrating hymns to hip hop for Black Music Month. Anyway, if you have any issues, please reach out to my office. I know there's a lot going on between personal property taxes and real estate taxes. We are here to assist you. Our phone number is 804-646-6532. You can also reach out by email if you have any correspondence that's relevant and helpful for us helping you. Those email addresses are Catherine Jordan, JORDAN @rva.gov, Sven.Phillipson, that's 1L, @rva.gov. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Just a few announcements. The next Glenwood Road, M Street rezoning and new homes development meeting will be held on Thursday, June 5th at 6 p.m. at the East End Library located at 25th and R Streets. The second annual Local Day Out, hosted by the NAACP, recognizing National Gun Violence Awareness Day, will be held Friday, June 6th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and specifically in our precinct, 1400 block of Jenny Shear Road or Ashley Oaks, 2100 block of Fairfield Avenue, and 2100 block of Ford Avenue. So please come out. That'll involve NAACP members, RPD, community members, and many others. The RVA Thriving Together Family and Friends Day will be held on Saturday, June 7th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Gillies Creek Park, 4301 Hobbs Lane. You're asked to come out and join the Richmond Police Department in the 1st Precinct Community Pop-Up and Social. This will be Tuesday, June 3rd, tomorrow at 2300 in the 2300 block of Fopp Street. So please come out and join for that event. A couple of other fun events. There will be Jazz on the Hill, June 7th from 12 to 5 p.m. Good Shepherd Baptist Church, 28th and R Streets, rain or shine. Please come out, bring your lawn chairs, enjoy the vibes. And I think that wraps it up for me. With that, members, the agenda has been completed. This meeting now stands adjourned.